So the topic today will be, what is the title? I forgot. Kaikeyi, the consequence of bad association. It should have been written down there, but anyway. I got a text from Nanda Prabhu that he wants me to speak on this topic, and he sent me this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I guess is the crescendo or the follow-up of leading to Ram Navami. And so we will be reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita today. And we can dovetail the topic into the Ramayana. So the topic here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, and it's the process of devotional service. And the verse on the board is number 87. So, translation of this verse. A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are non-devotees of Lord Krishna. So this particular verse has no purport. So what we'll do, we'll go to the next one. By association with worldly people, one becomes devoid of truthness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunities. One shall not at any time associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is not more than a toy animal in the hands of a woman. The illusion and bondage that accrue to a man from attachment to any other object are not as complete as that resulting from association with women or with men too attached to women. So this one has a purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. These verses quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31, 33, 35. Who spoke this verse? No, from the Bhagavatam. Yes, that's the one, Kapila Muni. Were spoken by Kapila Dev, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to his mother. Who was his mother? Sorry, I'm not trying to tell. It's a very easy answer. But herein, Kapila Dev discusses pious and impious activities and the symptoms of those who are devoid of devotional service to Krishna. Generally, people do not know about the miserable condition within the womb of a mother in any species of life. Due to bad association, one gradually falls into lower species. Association with women is greatly stressed in this regard. When one becomes attached to women or to those who are attached to women, one falls down into the lower species. And here comes the verse from a Bhagavad Gita, but is also spoken by Kapila Muni, but in different Sanskrit words. Purusha prakritisto hi Bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya Sad asat yoni janmasu. This is from the Bhagavad Gita. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with the good and evil among various species. Bhagavad Gita 13:22. So you could see that here there is a repeated stress about Srila Prabhupada is warning us that association with the object of the senses is so dangerous that drags the living entities into the lower species of life. There is in the Bhagavatam the third canto, Kapila Muni, which is also quoted here, it describes how dangerous it is that Devahuti, she understands there's a calamity, there's a powerful force between a Purusha and the Prakriti, the material energy. By association, it brings all sorts of bad consequences. There's a very interesting verse in the third canto, similar to this. Here says, Purusham Prakritisto hi. But Devahuti asks, Purusham Prakriti Brahman, Navimunchiti Karichit, Anyonya Pashrayatva cha, Nityatvad, Anayoprabho. That's the interesting, because in that verse, Srila Prabhupada, he says that should be the question that the disciple should ask the Guru. Purusham Prakriti Brahman, Nami Munchite Karichit, Anyone Pashrayatva cha, Nityatvad Anayo Prabho. That my dear Brahman, the enjoyer in this world, Purusham, means the living entity, when he's associating with the Prakriti, the material energy, then this phenomena of strong bondage, attachment becomes manifest. Nityatvad Prabho, and it becomes an eternal, powerful bondage. Nitya. How is it possible, the separation? It's a very interesting question. And Kapila Muni, he answers, Jnanina drishtatattvena vairagyena baliyasat tapo yuktena yogena tivrenatma samadhina. That only by Jnanina drishtatattvena, in order to have the darshan or the tattva, the darshan of the Lord, one should use very strong knowledge. Jnanina drishtata should be resolute, determined with the knowledge. Vairagyena baliyasat, with a strong renunciation, vairagya. And the word baliyasat means one should not just do these things, but strongly they should do it. Baliyasat. Tapo yuktena yogena trivirenatma samadhina. One with a strong tapasya, strong yoga, trivirenatma samadhina. Then one can achieve the separation and the samadhi of the transcendence of the Supreme Lord. Because the whole test in this material world is to disassociate ourselves from this material energy, that we are identified with it for millions and millions of lives. We're becoming one with it, sorts of speak. And that's why Srila Prabhupada describes here that it's so dangerous that it drags the living entities down into a lower species of life. The living entity, material nature, those follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to the association with the material nature. Those he meets with the good and evil among various species. Everybody, any one of us in this material, anyone who has this material body, it's actually a prisoner. Because this is Durga, material world, it's prison house. And the body is actually the prison uniform, is the proof that you are imprisoned. If anyone comes to you and says, I am a liberated soul, don't trust that person because he's trying to sell you something. It's a false statement. The body is actually the result of our activities from previous lives. And not only that, who is it? In the fourth canto, Narada Muni, he follows the trace of Kapila Muni by saying that how dangerous it is associating with this Prakriti, material energy, that the risk is so tragic that it drags the living entities down into a very abominable species of life. And he also says, same line, the same sentence, Narada Muni, when he speaks to King Prachina Barishat, he says, Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat, Navimunchiti Karichit, same kind of Sanskrit verse. And then he says, Eko Dvitricha Duspadam, Bahupadam, Apadakam, that the living entities, Puranjan, by associating with the material energy, then is forced. It doesn't say he falls down, but he's forced to accept bodies that sometimes are with one leg, 2 legs, 3 legs, 4 legs, many legs, or legless. Eko dvitrichadus padam, padam means legs. Bahu padam, bahu is like, baunam jamanam mante. Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that bahu means many, many legs. Bahu padam, apadakam. Apadakam means no legs, simply legless. Just like, and Prabhupada in the purport says, Eko means, sometimes we accept the body with one leg, and that is what is one leg? There is a species, sorry? No. Prabhupada says is the ghost body. And Prabhupada in that purport, he says, that when you have a dream and you see someone with one leg, then you should understand that is a ghost. So a ghost body, it's when we don't have a gross body, but we have a subtle body, and that is with one leg. It's there in the 4th canto, description of King Puranjan. And then Dvitricha Duspadam. Dvi means 2 legs, which is us, human beings. 3 legs. What is 3 legs? That's it, old man. Prabhupada says because an old man, he needs a stake, exactly. So that's 3 legs. And 4 legs is the animals, we all know. And Bahupadam. Bahu means many, many legs, like the spider, centipede. And Apadakam. Apadakam means the worm, snake. So you could see that that is a fact. Sometimes we see those creatures and we think, that, thank God this is not me. But actually we've been in those situations. Just because we don't remember doesn't mean that We haven't been there. But those are poor creatures. At some point they will get a human form again. Sophisticated, aristocratic body. So from a worm or from a snake, you can go into a body of a demigod. You can go... there are 8,400,000 species of life. And we're pushed by this association with the material energy into different bodies. Guna Sangha, Prabhupada says. So, and this propensity of being good or bad is in everybody. Everyone has a full potential of becoming a very evil person or becoming a very divine person. That is in everybody. You could see in the past, of course, those are by Leela, not by karma, but Jai and Vijay, full potential, being great devotee of Lord Vishnu, but they can also be a great demons. This Asurik Bhava is the other aspect of Bhakti Bhava. So they're both created by Krishna. And we can choose at every moment what bhava we want develop in our heart. But of course, Srila Rupa Goswami, he suggests that we should follow the Bhakti Bhava, favorable behavior. So that's why here it says in the verse of the Gita, this is due to the association with the material nature. The living entity, he meets with the good and evil amongst various species. So it's interesting that association, how does it start, this association? It's all there. Actually, if you read the chapter of the description of King Puranjan, even before we come in contact with the association with the material energy, the soul, he, just by associating with the wrong personality within his body, because Puranjan means the king, the soul, the king of the body. Pura means the city. We are all, believe it or not, we are all carrying around an empire, a city, a body. It's full of personalities. And there are gates. And Puranjan, it's the soul, the king. That's why we are the king of this body. And you can tell the body where to go, what to think, what to get, what to produce. And you are in command. But it would happen that there are three subtle personalities who are always surrounding Puranjan. And those are personalities, the mind, intelligence. The intelligence is described that is the wife of the king, the wife of the soul. And the name is Kutumbini. Kutumbini means from time immemorial, the intelligence is pure. It actually represents the consciousness of Vasudeva. There is no, if the intelligence serves the soul, then she will always suggest good things, can deliver the soul from the miseries of birth and death. But what happened that the soul makes a mistake because there is a mind. The mind is supposed to serve the intelligence. And the mind, it's Visuchina, that's another Sanskrit name, which means dirty by nature. So even before we enjoy the association with the Prakriti, the material energy, The very first mistake we make is for the soul to enjoy the association with the mind. So what it does, he betrays his wife, the intelligence, and he has an affair with the mind. So when we associate with our mind, then the consequences are, like here we are talking about the bad consequence, are that lust, anger, and greed are born. Those are the three formidable children. And then later on, the lust, anger, and greed, they drag Puranjan, the soul, into different gates of the body. Let's go and enjoy it through the eyes. Kadyota, Avirmukhi. These are all personalities. And the King Puranjan is dragged by this lust, anger, and greed to view the Darshana Rupi. Darshan means vision. Rupi means forms. The forms of this material world. So these three children, lust, anger, and greed, they have the soul by the leash, by the neck. It's dragged out of the two eyes, the gates of the eyes, to enjoy the forms of this material world. And that's when association comes. And the Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says the same thing. At that point, this great phenomena take place. Dhyayato vishayam pumsha sangaste supajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamakrodo bijayate. And these forms, the object of the senses, by contemplating those forms, then it will feed more the lust, anger, greed. Kamat krodo bijayate. So, association with non-devotees. First of all, we have to start from home. Home means our own body. Let's try to associate with our own intelligence. And then, like, the Bhagavad Gita, it describes very nicely, Lord Krishna, that Indriyani paranyahur, Indriyabhya paranmana. That's the right verse, isn't it? The one. Manasastu para buddhir, yobuddhe paratastu saha. That higher than the matter, the object of the senses, ahur. Ahur means the matter. Indriyani, the senses, are superior. But superior to the senses is the mind. Manasastu para buddhir. Then superior to the mind is the intelligence. But then superior to the intelligence is the soul. Yo buddhi paratastu saha. Aha means the soul. So, and then on the next verse says, that superior to the soul is the super soul. So if we understand this hierarchy within our body, then everything else, association with the material energy, association with other living entities, then we can discriminate, we can choose, and we are very, very careful. So, when someone is in a wrong consciousness, then he will be attracted by Atmavan Manyate Jagat, by people like him. That's why a mundane person is attracted by another materialistic person. A neophyte devotee can easily be bewildered and being attracted by non-devotees because he is not very strong spiritually. So therefore, also because he hasn't understood yet how to control the mind, the senses, the intelligence. That's why the verse here, this is actually very powerful. I'm very glad that Nanda Prabhu gave me this verse. This class was supposed to be given by Ananda Chaitanya, and he's sick. So as usual, Nanda always ask me to bail people out. I'm like a dispensable reserve resource. I don't mind. I'm servant of the devotees. By association with worldly people, one become devoid of truthfulness. The truth will leave us. That's all the things you lose, all the consequence. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. All the consequence that you have to bear by associating with the wrongly people. Truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunities. So this is a fact. So, but association with a saintly person, you will gain all these things. All the good fortune, all the wealth. That is the secret, how to restore, claim back everything that you have lost. Just by associating with a good person. Now, why I was given this verse? Because we have to dovetail this concept, this phenomena to the pastimes of Lord Ram. He had a very beautiful queen. One of them was Kaikeyi. She was the most beautiful one. And she was also actually the most appreciative and attached to Lord Ram. She was very affectionate. Even the modern Kaushalya, the mother of Lord Ram. And there was another sister who was the other one? Urmila. Sumitra. So, but you can see there was this phenomena, the mind. She represents the mind, the Mantara, the maidservant. And the mind, Mantara, she stole away all this quality from Kaikeyi. Truthfulness, mercy, good fortune, Maya Prita Jnana, it's said very often in the Shastra that the mind is the kingdom of ignorance. And therefore, it's not that the mind is a bad thing. The mind, we need it. The mind, it's a field that can experience enjoyment and also experience suffering. With the help of the mind, actually many people, they become saintly. Because when we feel suffering, it's actually from the field of the mind. It's the ignorance that drags us to duality of life. Sometimes we enjoy, sometimes we suffer. And from this pratyaksha, suffering, is the biggest senses, the mind. When you feel the suffering, then great realizations, they're born. Then you don't want it. You want something else. You want the relief from suffering. So without the mind, you cannot have great realizations. There is a say that great realization, they only grow in the field of suffering. And the mind experiences the suffering. Isn't there? Mental anguish, depression, anger. All these things, they're felt by the mind. Enjoyment. It's not that intelligence, of course, the intelligence is not very much the recipient of the duality of life. It is actually the mind, because the mind has the control of all the senses. And through the senses, lust, anger, greed, all these things, it brings pleasure to the mind or brings suffering to the mind. That's why Uddaredatmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaivatmano Bandur Atmaiva Ripunatmana. The mind can be the greatest friend or can be the greatest enemy. It all depends how it's utilized. So we need the mind, and created by Krishna. And the mind can help the devotee into self-realization. So Mantara, she represents the mind, and she stole away the intelligence of Kaikeyi. And this poor lady, she was victimized by the conspiracy. She was actually, Mantara was she was the catalyst person who propelled the initiative of the conspiracy of banning Lord Ram to the forest and install Bharat. Now, of course, all these pastimes, we should not think in our mind that one is good, one is bad, this one was demoniac, that is actually offensive, because all these personalities, they were associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they came into this world by lila, not by karma. But they came to teach us what to do and what not to do. So therefore, just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example very often of the mother-in-law, if she wanted to teach something to the daughter-in-law, you will find that example, isn't it, in the Shastra many times. Then the mother-in-law, she chastises her own daughter. Why? Because the daughter is more close to the mother. The daughter-in-law, she's not. She may, if you chastise her directly, she may becomes upset and go away, or she breaks, she doesn't learn the lesson. So therefore Krishna is like that. He brings his own associates, Krishna is like the mother-in-law, and we are like the daughter-in-law. We're materialist people. We've been in this material world for many, many lives. So therefore, a good advice straight from Krishna, it wouldn't be digested easily. So therefore, he teaches us by chastising his own personal associates, like Arjuna, like he used Mantara, all these he chastised Jai and Vijay. Because if you read in the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna, he never comes in direct contact with the mortal people. His environment is a sublime. Even when he comes into this world, he comes with his own personal associates. So that's the very first thing we have to understand, that Mantara was a tool for us to understand that we should not become like her. And also we should not associate with someone like her. Because the consequence was that Kaikeyi, she lost everything. Not only she lost everything, she lost the husband, because the husband, he died in agony, in separation of Lord Ram. You could see the last anger and greed indulged there to lose everything. And not only that, she lost her son, her own son, Bharat, who was a righteous person. Because Chaturvyuha, Lord Ram, Bharat, Shatrughna, Lakshman, they're all on the same level. It's not that, of course, Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So they all represent the same principle of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Bharat, he could not be a materialistic God. So he disowned and he rejected his own mother. So you could see Kaikeyi at the end of the day, for listening to Mantara, she lost everything. And she was still hungry. You know, there is a say about the devotee who goes, the Brahman who went to eat into the house of a Muslim. So, how did it go, the story, Govinda? You can enlighten us? It was that he got very little to eat and he was still hungry. He lost his caste and he was still hungry. So that's the thing. That's, associating with the bad people, you lose your reputation and still you don't gain anything afterwards. It's a lose-lose situation. It's not that you don't really gain anything by associating with the wrong people. It's a trap. Material energy so therefore we have to understand this phenomena, how to associate with our own mind, with our own intelligence, associate with everything we see around us. It's meant for me or is meant for Krishna. It's not that there is something wrong with the material energy. Devi gunamayi mamamaya durateya. Lord Krishna calls the material energy Devi, divine. It is our lust, anger and greed that contaminates the environment. It's not that the material energy contaminates us. It's because it's not meant for us to enjoy it. It's meant for us to use it in Krishna's service. And in this way, the enjoyment it's a win-win situation. Krishna becomes satisfied, and we also become satisfied, because we cannot deny it. There is a partial enjoyment that we derive from the material energy, and that is prasadam. Whatever you use, it's all given to us by the grace of Lord Krishna, and that is a prasadam. You don't take more, you don't take less. We have this body, we have to maintain it, but we don't try to get carried away with all the wealth, all the fame, the power. There is 6 opulence, that living entities they're chasing, birth after birth. But those, they belong to Krishna only. Our only opulence is the humility, the service. Then otherwise we are if we try to master, dominate this material energy, then we will be humbled. Nobody can conquer Maya, only Krishna. So one who praises himself is humbled, and one who humbles himself is praised. So this is the right thing to understand. So Lord Ram, he could understand, that he needed Mantara to treat all this conspiracy. He had not a trace of vengeance or anger or spite towards his mother, Kaikeyi. Because Lord Ram, he could understand, he knew that without me being banned to the forest, I cannot kill Ravana. So everything was planned by the Lord, ultimately. The whole Ramayana, Krishna is actually responsible for it. It is not that, and the Lord, he wanted everyone to play the right role. He wanted Mantara to play the role of deceiving, influencing, giving a bad influence. He wanted the Kaikeyi to play the role of betraying, Dasarat and burning Ram to the forest. But he loved all of them equally because they were all actors, protagonists. It's actually, the Ramayana is made for us to be careful what to do and what not to do. So that's why the Lord, he says, the Lord, he doesn't have any enemy. I say also in the Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't have any friends, no enemy. Samoham sarvabhuteshu namedveshosthi na priya. But he's partial to his devotee. What's this? I said in the last class, last week, that there's this Italian say that no one is my friend, no one is my enemy, everyone is my teacher. So Lord Ram, he had that mood. He saw everyone as his teacher. He learned from everybody. And so this is the concept of associating with bad people. You lose everything, and you risk of going into the hellish conditions of life, and God knows for how long. But by associating with a pure devotee, even if it's for one moment, you see, it takes a long time to actually commit so many sinful activities to degrade yourself. But it takes only a few seconds to step up on the sublime platform. Just associate for a few moments with a good devotee, pure devotee. And you can associate by through hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, by hearing these pastimes. That's also sadhu sangha, and is the sangha directly of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's very purifying, and it will protect the devotee from falling down into the awkward environment. So I think we'll stop here. It's 8:30, and we'll ask if there is any questions.